So the other day we made the Colonel Mustang build, which by the way is a very, very good build. However, going into the dungeon this past weekend solo has made me make some adjustments. Today's build is going to be taking advantage of artifact mods like Classy Restoration, as well as Solar Fulmination. And the idea here is to do as much damage as you can with none other than fusion grenades. Now I said it the other day, and I still believe it. We've got the best build names in the game. So fellas, I present to you Starclass. Yes, it's good, because Starfire Protocol, Classy Restoration, Starclass, you like it, don't lie. First up, let's talk about what the hell is going on with Starfire Protocol and why it is so good this season. It comes with Fusion Harness, where fusion grenades have an additional charge and recharge from empowered weapon damage. Fusion grenade kills also grant you Rift energy. Now the beautiful thing about this is that it states empowered weapon damage, any type of empowerment. But the easiest way to become empowered is of course empowering Rift. Cast one of these babies down, throw a fusion grenade, get a kill with it, instantly grant yourself a well back again. And all the damage that you're doing inside of that empowering Rift or even a well of radiance is feeding you fusion grenade energy. Now a couple of things that are really boosting our fusion grenades is none other than Touch of Flame. This allows your fusion grenades to explode twice. This pretty much guarantees that kill when you land that sticky. The second thing is Solar Fulmination. Your ignitions do increased damage in an increased radius. This of course allows you to not only get the kill on the single target, but also grants you multi-kills. Even on times where my fusion grenade misses, just laying on the ground, it will grant me a kill. Now since we don't have a healing rift, you're probably wondering, Cross, how are you able to stay alive? Well, that's where Classy Restoration comes in. Activating your solar class abilities grants you restoration, and you can actually see it right there, guys, where you're pretty much able to tank everything. Now throughout all of this, I'm combining it with mods like Explosive Wellmaker. Rapidly defeating combatants with explosive damage spawns a solar elemental well. Now this applies to a lot of things: rocket launchers, Wither Horde, these sticky grenades, and when I actually get a kill and then proc Explosive Wellmaker, I have Seeking Wells that allows the wells to come to me, which of course feeds me ability energy, but simultaneously procs Well of Life. This is another solar elemental mod that gives you increased regeneration. Yes, this does stack with Classy Restoration. Now you're probably noticing that there are two wells that are dropping every single time Explosive Wellmaker is procced. This is because of Bountiful Wells. Essentially, guys, you're getting double the benefits here, as well as double the ability energy every time those wells come to you. The synergy here, guys, is beautiful because I have two methods of keeping myself alive. As a matter of fact, in the boss room, when I would teleport to the Nightmare Realm, I would actually jump down, shoot a Wither Horde shot at my feet. This will, of course, catch the dogs that are rushing me. I would then drop an Empowering Rift, proccing Classy Restoration. I would throw a fusion grenade on the Bellkeepers, granting myself back my Rift immediately, and in the process, my Wither Horde is doing damage, proccing Explosive Wellmaker, and these wells are tracking to me, granting me Well of Life. Now, looking at our other fragments and aspects, I was originally rocking Heat Rises because, again, getting final blows while airborne increases your melee energy that you get back. But the problem with this, especially in things like this dungeon, if you're airborne too much, you're gonna get wrecked. So I was actually rocking Icarus Dash just to help me to move around even faster, which actually proved to be very beneficial getting to and from the different bells. But the fragments that I'm using, one of them is Ember of Solace. Radiant and restoration effects apply to you have increased duration. Yes, this does stack with Classy Restoration. This is actually a pretty ginormous bump there in duration, going from 8 seconds to 12 seconds, which could be all the difference, guys, in keeping you alive. Now, this does not increase the healing duration from Well of Life. Now, my other fragments are Ember of Ashes. You apply more Scorch stacks to targets. We also have Ember of Eruption, where your solar ignitions have increased area of effect, and Ember of Blistering. Defeating targets with solar ignitions grants grenade energy. You can see all of this double dipping in there into Solar Fulmination, thus giving us massive explosions. And with all of this damage taking place, especially inside of an Empowering Rift or inside of a Well of Radiance, every single one of these explosions is returning me fusion grenade energy because, of course, that's considered empowered damage. Now, this is where my weapon selection, I really like this. Wither Horde is so good, not only for creating elemental wells with Explosive Wellmaker, but while I'm inside my own Rift or inside of my own Well of Radiance, that damage over time that Wither Horde does consistently keeps proccing Starfire Protocol, thus granting me my fusion grenades back even quicker. All of these damage phases literally consist of me shooting Wither Horde and throwing fusion grenades. And like on the final encounter against Caiatl, I would have like a rocket launcher that I would swap to as well, doing damage with that. But for the most part, fusion grenades is what's carrying this, with fragments like Ember of Ashes applying 50% more Scorch stacks. With my fusion grenades actively reaching those max stacks of Scorch very often, we're seeing these solar ignitions take effect pretty much every single grenade throw, or damn near it. And with the increase in damage from Solar Fulmination, as well as the radius increase from from Ember of Eruption, and Touch of Flame, also granting fusion grenades double the explosion, you can see why this has become such a deadly DPS option, especially considering it's not utilizing really any of your ammo. You're just purely devoting everything to your abilities. Now, in the final encounter was where I was in a sticky situation because I was actually having to split the damage phase up on 3 different plates, or the 3 different bells, which is why for the first bell, I would actually open up with an Empowering Rift. This, of course, would grant me classy restoration and thus keep me alive, even from the snipers and some of the explosive damage that was hitting me whenever I was hitting Caiatl. Then on the second bell, I would actually drop my well. Again, continuing to throw fusion grenades over and over, swap off to Wither Horde, rocket launchers, and again, at any moment you look up and you see that you don't have a rift, just throw your fusion grenade at any ad and get a single kill. This will grant you your rift back immediately. And then going to the third bell, you drop an Empowering Rift yet again and continue raining fusion grenades, Wither Horde shots, and watch the explosions take effect. Now, this is actually good enough damage to potentially 3-phase Caiatl here, but I did mess up a few times, which is why I didn't get the 3-phase, but it does do enough damage for that 3-phase. Now, I know this is just for Warlocks, but I promise you, the survivability on Hunters and Titans is just as potent. And we're going to be covering that in a future video as well. Before I let you go, though, we did do a Solar breakdown video from the other day, essentially talking about Solar 3.0, what Radiant does, what Scorch is, how many stacks of Scorch is granted from certain fragments and grenades, as well as individually from each class what they do. So feel free to check out that video if you're interested. For anyone else, though, that wants to try this build out, a dim link of this will be down below. I'm also going to recommend rocking 100 Resilience, especially in this dungeon, which grants you a whopping 40% damage resist. And there are times where like an enemy will come up on you with a fusion grenade strapped to their face. So yeah, that can cause problems. Having that extra damage resist from that 100 Resilience can keep you alive. Regardless, though, from what I'm seeing with Solar 3.0, the survivability here has never been better. A lot of it has to do with classy restoration, but either way, one thing Solar 3.0 has done effectively here is push me to adopt a lot of build options that I didn't consider before. It's been forever since I used Starfire Protocol, and Elemental Wells, I do tend to use them, but not in this manner. With the synergy of these artifact mods and these abilities and these Elemental Wells, I think many of these Solar builds can go toe-to-toe with even our best Void 3.0 builds. Well, fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching, and as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.